welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, being a small business or a medium-sized business, we're so many times pulled away from what we need to do to what we believe we have to do. And one of the things that we all hate as business owners is payroll and accounting, especially if we're in the creative industry. But those things take us away from focusing on the things we need to focus. With me is Christina. Is it, how do you pronounce it?
Ingert.
Ingert. I want to make sure I
Yes,
get it right.
You're doing great.
And your company is?
Florida Accounting and Payroll Services.
Okay, so how long are you doing it?
I've been doing it for about 20 years, but my personal owned company about 5.
Why?
Why? I was one of those people that didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I had a knack for accounting and finance. My dad's side of the family had a family business, and my dad did the books for them. So I don't know if I inherited it or what, but after being in the hospitality industry for so many years, I didn't want to work nights and weekends. So I was like, let me go back to college and finish my degree, and I got a degree in accounting.
Okay.
And it's like putting a puzzle together for me. I don't mind it. I like it. It's challenging, but it keeps me going.
And it's interesting because I run a couple of companies that I own.
Mm-hmm.
And the time that I have to sit down and do the numbers, I hate that. I have ADHD. Here, Edgar does the back office stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He has much more patience than I do.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to spend the money.
Of course, everybody does.
But doing the payroll is just a pain.
It is, and it takes a lot of time. It really does. And thankfully, with the way that technology is going these days, there's ways to automate systems to make them more efficient, to save time. But then again, if you don't know about the software and you're not used to using that, such
Right.
as accountants and bookkeepers, then how do you do that? So that's something actually we started to scratch the surface in our firm, is teaching our clients how to automate systems within their office to become more efficient. But ultimately, we still do the majority of the work for them to save them time, because that 10 to 15 hours a week or what have you allows them time to make more money, to do more
Right.
sales and marketing, to spend more time with their family because they don't have any. Like, it's such a valuable service. And instead of hiring someone 40 hours a week for an office manager, we can do it in a few hours for you.
It's interesting because I use the analogy of changing oil in your car.
Mm-hmm.
When we were kids, we changed our oil.
Yes.
I can change my oil, know how to do it. It'll take me 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, or I could bring it in and it'll take them 30 minutes. So that's an hour and a half of time. My hour and a half is more valuable than the $49 they charge me to change my oil.
Absolutely. And especially nowadays, the way the world works, where everything's so busy and hustle bustle, that you almost have to find ways to shave time from non-money making activities to be able to create more money to live and survive.
And we talk about it's so important to use a professional.
Oh, it is. It
Okay.
can really be horrible if you don't.
And using a professional is, for me, there's 2 things about using a professional. If you use a professional, it gets done. They make money, and you save money.
Absolutely.
That's one.
Yes.
And the other part about using a professional is you need to use a professional face-to-face. In other words, if there's something you don't understand or something that doesn't go the way you think it should go, you have someone to talk to. If you do it online, you'll never get back to the same person.
Correct. And that's like when I tell people, they're like, oh, I use this software. I'm like, that's great. Did they tell you about all the tax credits that you qualify for? Because they're not going to get to know their customer and pull information out of them to think about what all possible they could be doing to save money. It's a computer program. It's a yes or no. So you're missing a lot of that and leaving a lot of money on the table.
I remember, I don't know, let's say 30 years ago, I guess, what program was it that he used?
QuickBooks?
Yeah, QuickBooks.
Okay.
He used, a company I worked for used QuickBooks.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to save it on a disc, and then the accountant came, or the
And took
bookkeeper,
the
and
disc?
took the disc.
I used to do that. I still do that for some people.
Okay, and then he worked from there, and today, is QuickBooks still the standard, for lack of a better word?
It is. There's quite a few other softwares too, but QuickBooks is the oldest, longest running, and they constantly are working towards keeping up with the newest and latest. It's very user friendly. However, as time goes on, it becomes more and more in depth. So that's another thing too. Unless you want to, do old school manual pen and paper Excel worksheet, you have to learn these softwares, and that within itself takes a lot of time.
Oh yeah, and I remember we have to download patches for that at a
And all
bunch of
sorts of
times.
other stuff. And they have
Yeah,
now they have a desktop version, they have an online version, they have an inventory costing version. Like they've got it all now.
but they're not the only ones anymore.
No, they're not the only ones anymore.
Okay, in your opinion, are they still like the best?
Um, they are overall. When it comes to inventory management, I think there's other systems that are better.
What about like payroll?
Payroll, they're great with payroll. And they do have automated taxes on there. Of course, you still got to, everybody makes mistakes because on the other end of the computer is someone operating the computer. So you still have to, pay attention and review things. But for the most part, everything is so easy that it's easy, user friendly for an employer to get QuickBooks payroll online and do it themselves. And it's really so simple.
But okay, so I remember then QuickBooks went from being downloaded onto a disk to the accountant just going online and pulling it themselves at their office.
Yes.
Okay, and I guess that's now the standard.
Yeah, well, that's the difference between the desktop version and the online version. The desktop version, you got to download onto a file, and then that accountant will have to take the file and put it in their computer and upload it. Whereas the online version, it's just a username and password to log in, and then the accountant has their own username and that password to log in as well.
Okay, so somebody has a small, medium business. I guess that's your sweet spot.
That's my sweet spot, yes, sir.
Okay, so now they've grown and they want to hire you.
Okay.
So I call you up. What are you going to ask me?
I'm going to ask you about your business so that I understand what it is that you're doing in your business, so that I know the second round of questions, what it is, to ask specifically with your procedures, where you need help, where your shortfalls are. And then that way I can put together an accurate proposal for you based on your needs, not on just saying, oh, we do this, this, and this. But if you're able to manage this and you're doing great with that, I don't want to touch it. I want to let you do that, Where you're struggling or you need help with, if it's the payroll and the payroll taxes, because they just never work out right, then obviously let me take the payroll off your hands. But we do customize bundled packages so that way you can, if you need accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory management, payroll, we'll customize a package that suits your specific needs.
Okay, so let's go with basics to start.
Okay.
Okay, so they want you to do their payroll.
Okay.
So they do payroll every 2 weeks.
Biweekly.
Okay? Yeah. So what would you need to be able to pick that up and do it?
I would need the employee's W-4 or I-9, 2 legal valid forms of identification, the company's bank account information with authorization to debit and credit from there, as well as direct deposit agreements, unless you're doing paper checks for the employees, with an agreement to debit and credit from there as well. And I think that's pretty much it. An email, if it's which email you get from the I-9, so that's it.
So I'm not concerned how long it takes you, but I believe that if payroll is due on the 7th, I'm just picking a day, you have to start doing it the week before if it's done on a 2-week basis, right?
I actually can do it up to the night before, because with all of my clients, I have 24-hour automatic direct deposit just in case they need that. So I could literally do it the day before. Do I? No, of course not. But if you're doing a manual payroll, I would start a week before, especially if you have quite a few employees on your payroll, to make sure the taxes are all proper and everything.
Does it make it easier if the employees are salaried as compared to hourly?
Of course it does. With salaried employees, you can just set up automatic salary, and every week look at it and be like, okay.
Yeah,
I love those.
Yeah, I think that'd be like the simplest way to do it. What I don't understand, well, there's a million things I don't understand, but so let's just say it's a small business they just started, okay, and their payroll is $2,000,
Okay.
but they had a month, really poor month,
Okay.
okay? But they have money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Can you then stop direct deposit and do paper checks?
Absolutely. And you can do that for one employee, for all employees. You can do it pretty much anything. You can cater to it as long as you have 24 to 48 hours notice, or depending on how that client subscription, payroll subscription is set up, then you can make changes like that up to a couple days before the payroll is processed. As long as your payroll provider is allowing you to do that, or, you're doing it yourself, of course.
Okay. Who's your clientele? Small business.
Small to medium-sized businesses. So I have a lot of construction companies and auto body, because my husband has been in the construction industry for quite a while.
Okay.
And then I also have up north, I have some arborist tree companies,
Okay.
and that's that's where I'm from, up north. So that's just referrals
What?
and things like that. Iowa originally.
People live in Iowa?
I know. Can you believe it?
No, you can't.
Those Hawkeyes, though, they're really good.
Okay, so this opens a new door. So are you not limited to just Florida?
No, I could actually anywhere in the world. And I did have a company at one point until they became very large, and it was in their best interest and mine to refer them to a much larger firm, which I have no problem doing. I'm super happy for my clients when they get to be that successful, because I had a part of that,
Right.
But no, it's been fine.
So you can do payroll anywhere.
Yeah.
So we spoke payroll. Let's talk for a second about accounting.
Okay.
What, without sounding ignorant, which I am,
No, you're not.
what is the accounting part for you?
Okay, so the accounting part can go anywhere from bookkeeping to financial advisory. We start off with, basic bookkeeping services for people, classifying their transactions to get accurate financial sheets, their profit and loss and balance statement, as well as a statement of cash flows. And we go over that with them once a month after the close of the month to make sure that they know how their business is doing. I have seen so many businesses fail that could have thrived so easy because they just don't know how to read their financial statement. You have to know what's going on in your business to know if you're doing properly, if you need to make cutbacks in places, if you need to hire more people, if you need to do more advertising. And the only way to do that is to stay up to date in your business with the books.
This company would do much better if they fired me.
Oh, would they? You're the spender, though, that's why.
Right, and the hoarder. But I stress how important it is, if you're in an industry, that to give the work to somebody who knows that part of it, because you will make more money.
It's smart. People are like, I don't want to pay that much. I'm like, you don't understand. You're actually paying yourself back so much more money. Because if you look at, the logistics of all the hours put in versus somebody that can come in and automate your stuff and do it like that, it's a no-brainer. It really is.
We're getting to the top of time. How do people find you?
How do people find me? Call me 772-828-9890. Christina Ingard on Facebook. Florida Accounting and Payroll Services on Facebook. And then we're breaching into the Instagram as well.
It's so funny because I have Christina here, who I hired,
Okay.
and she's in that sweet spot of Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
We're going to bring that on board as platforms for us too.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of go with the trends.
You do. You got to stay up with the times. In every business, but especially, I feel, in your financial game.
What's the name of your company again?
Florida Accounting and Payroll Services.
And the phone number?
772-828-9890. I look forward to hearing from y'all.
Everybody remember, use a professional. Okay? If you don't, it's going to cost you 5 times more money and 10 times more frustration. We'll be right back.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.